What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way Season 5 episode. I don't know. Stranger things have happened. I doubt it. So let's get started with TJ and Kimberly. So now they've been married about 3 months. And when we see TJ, he is sitting downstairs having dinner with his mother and his brother. So there's no sign of Kim. Kim is nowhere in sight. The mom and the brother complain to TJ that she is always upstairs. Most of the time, they don't even know if she's there or not. And in the 3 months that Kimberly and TJ have been married, she's probably sat down at dinner with them 2 to 3 times. That's it, maximum. So TJ says, well, this is how she was raised, or this is how her culture is. He tried to blame it either on her upbringing or her culture or something. Instead of just saying what it is, she just don't like y'all and she doesn't want to be anywhere near y'all. So the mom says that she's acting like a strange tenant instead of a member of this family. So Kimberly tells us that whenever the family wants to go to the roof of the house, they have to go through her living room, right? So she had told them to please ring the bell anytime that they want to come use her living room to get access to the roof. So she says that when she told them this, the family took it the wrong way, and they took it as her not wanting them in her space at all whatsoever. Like she was denying them use of her living room to get to the roof. So then she says that every time she comes downstairs, she's just met with hostility. They look at her crazy. So she doesn't even bother. So now Kimberly and TJ are having a conversation, right? He comes upstairs to talk to his wife and they're sitting across from each other. And Kim says that she's always confined in this room and she's always feeling alone because TJ works a lot and she doesn't want to fool with the family. So she kind of like, just keeps to herself upstairs. Kim says that she's starting to feel depressed, and he says to her, well, that's very common to feel that way. And then she said, well, it's not common for a new bride to start feeling depressed, 3 months into her marriage. That's not common at all. So they start arguing, and TJ goes, when they argue, this is her saying that every time that they get into an argument, TJ will leave her and go downstairs to his family. TJ says he does this to avoid, further confrontation with her. This is his way of trying to, de-accelerate the situation instead of getting worse. This is how he tries to like calm things down by just removing himself from the argument. So she says that whenever he does this, when he walks away from her and goes downstairs to join his family, it makes her feel secluded, isolated, and she feels like she's in jail. And he says everyone else doesn't have a problem associating with each other. It's just you that wants to separate yourself from everybody else. So he basically is telling her, you're feeling alone and isolated because you're not trying to associate with anybody. You're choosing to stay up in this room. You're choosing to isolate yourself. So what do you want me to do about it when you're making the conscious decision to separate yourself from everybody else? So she says that she says she's not ignoring the family. She's just not on good terms with them. And so TJ says, well, that's the problem because you don't get along with my family. This is the reason why you're at where you're at. Instead of trying to get along and trying to socialize more, instead you just run away and keep to yourself. And she's like, yeah, that is the problem. And no one wants to solve anything with me. They just want to bitch at me. So TJ looks at her and he's like, are you crazy? Why did he go and say that? Because that was a trigger word for her. So she says, she calls him by his full government name, TJ Sway or TG Swee or whatever she says. I told you multiple times, do not call me crazy. I don't call you an a-hole. I don't call you a dick. I don't call you a titty baby. So don't you dare call me crazy. So when she said that, I feel like he's been calling her this quite a few times. Like he has called her this quite a bit to the point where, she won't put up with it anymore. So they're going back and forth. They're like in a full blown argument. a full-blown husband and wife argument. So they're going back and forth, back and forth. And then TJ says, well, if you feel alone, you can go back to the US. And so Kim says, instead of saying that, you can try to support me. You can give me an effing hug and say that you support me and that you're on my side. So when she said that, I'm like, girl, you just want attention. All of this right here, you secluding yourself, you not wanting to socialize, you're just desperate for attention from your husband. And so once again, they start arguing, they start screaming at each other, going back and forth. At some point he tells her, don't yell at me, but they were both yelling at each other. So she lets out this primal scream, this primal animalistic scream that came from the pits of hell. And I'm watching this and I'm like, what the hell is going on? This is a grown adult woman who's basically throwing a tantrum. She is throwing a 2-year-old tantrum because for whatever reason, she cannot get her way with her husband, whatever that way is. I don't know if she's trying to subliminally try to convince him to move out of this home and for them to get their own place, because she hasn't said the words, I want to leave and I want us to have our own place. So I don't know if she subconsciously or telepathically is trying to tell him this and he's just not picking up on it, but she's not getting what she wants in some way, in some capacity. And so instead of using her words and calming down and trying to find a solution to the problem, she decides just to throw a tantrum and scream at the top of her lungs. If she would have screamed like that in America and anybody would have heard that, they would have been calling 911 immediately. They would have thought that this woman is being murdered. So she lets out this primal yell, and TJ gets up and he leaves. He's like, I'm out of here. And he goes downstairs and he says, because his mom and his brother are downstairs, they're listening to everything. He goes downstairs and he says, Mommy, she's making my life hell. And so her mom says, son, don't worry about it. Just let her go back to America where she can be happier. Yeah. I think it's time because the thing about Kim and TJ, the problem is when they argue, they egg each other on. They escalate it. They one up each other. So she'll say something and he'll say something and then she'll say something and then he'll say something else. And it's just constantly getting worse and worse and worse. Neither one of them have the maturity to shut it down. Maybe he does because he says that he'll walk away and she doesn't want him to walk away. Maybe he's the one that is a little bit more mature, but whenever we have seen them argue, I've noticed that they go at it. So, okay, what I'm trying to say is when she says, why don't you support me? Why don't you just give me a hug? And he completely was like, I'm not doing that. He said, I'm not doing that. And you would think that he would have been like, you know what? Okay, baby, you're right. You're my wife. Yes. Okay. Let me see what I can do to make it better. But instead he was like, I ain't doing that. She's telling him exactly what she wants from him. And he's like, I ain't doing that. And she doesn't understand that. Girl, I don't know what you're used to, Kimberly. I don't know, because look, when her parents were in India, I could tell that she's kind of like daddy's girl or something. And remember, she doesn't get along with her own biological mother. She gets along with her stepmother, but she doesn't get along with her biological mother. So that kind of tells me that maybe she was that kind of child, like when your parents are having issues or whatever, they're having a divorce or not arguing, or they're arguing or they're separate or whatever the situation is, you kind of play them against each other to get what you want. And I have a very strong feeling that Kimberly was really buttering up her father to get what she wanted. And maybe her mother wasn't putting up with her crap. And that's why she doesn't get along with her mom, because something about her is extremely immature. You cannot live in these people's house, these people who have taken you in, and expect to isolate yourself. First of all, this is a culture where they are very focused on communal living, family living. everybody lives together in one home in harmony. This is what they're all about. They're not about as soon as the kids turn 18, they got to go and make it on their own, and the parents will barely help them. Everybody stays within the same house under one roof. And here you are trying to act like you're following the culture because, you're within the same building as they are, but you're on a completely different floor. You don't even come out to socialize with these people, and you're thinking that you're not doing anything wrong. You're in their country. Excuse me, y'all. You're in their country. You are in their home, and you want to kind of just feel like you want to act like, well, I don't have to do anything that I don't want to do, and I don't have to do anything that makes me uncomfortable. And, because they have to come through my living room to get to their roof, I'm just not, no, sweetheart. Now, should they knock or ring the doorbell before they barge into your Yes, of course. And I seriously don't think that they were mad at her because she had requested for them to knock on the door or ring the doorbell before they come in to get to the roof. I don't think it went down like that at all. Either she said it with attitude or other things were said that she's not willing to talk about, because they don't seem like irrational, unreasonable people. So if she were to tell them, hey, before you walk in, can you just, knock on the door or ring the doorbell so that I'll make sure that I'm decent when you walk in, I think they would have obliged. But I think she must have said it in like a really bad attitude, or other things were said. So with her screaming like that, letting out that crazy animalistic she-devil scream at the top of her lungs, honey, if I was TJ, I would take my mother's advice. I'd be like, you know what? Let me get you this ticket, send you back to the United States of America, because I ain't putting up with this. And he told her, he's like, hey, if you're not happy here, go back home. You don't got to stay here. He told her that. He was like, if you ain't happy, go back. And he said it repeatedly. And you would think that, he would have been like, oh, baby, I'm sorry that I said that. I shouldn't have said that, because what is that other couple's name? Oh my goodness. The other couple, the guy that lives in South Africa, and Wayne and Holly. Wayne and Holly. When Wayne said, you know what, maybe I shouldn't have married an American if I knew that, it was going to be like this. She got upset and he apologized. Oh, baby, I didn't mean it like that. TJ did not back down. He did not back down at all. When he said, you should go back to America then. And she was like, well, why do you say that? Why don't you want to fix the problem? Why don't you just support me? Why do you keep telling me that? He was like, because I mean it. Why don't you just go back to America? Get the hell out of here. TJ is a mess. TJ's a mess, but your wife, she's a bigger mess. Kimberly, I'm going to need you to get some maturity. I'm going to need you to grow up just a little bit. You are really experiencing the world being married to TJ and living in India, because they're not putting up with your crap. Your father may put up with your crap. These people are not putting up with your crap. So you got to get it together, come downstairs, wake up at the crack of dawn, go help mommy with the cleaning, the cooking, and everything else. Sit down, have breakfast with them, have lunch and dinner with them, socialize with them, conversate with them. And then at the end of the day, when you're ready to go to bed, go back upstairs and go to sleep and be done with that. Moving on to Johan and Danielle. So it's been a month since Johan has left. Danielle, we see her packing up the apartment. She is getting the hell out of Dodge. She's got one last thing to do with her yoga stuff and she's out of there. So at first she said that she didn't want him to take anything that he had bought her. Now she's at that point where he could take everything that he had bought her. Anything that he touched, she says she doesn't want, except for the damn dog. Anything that he has touched, she doesn't want. She's just so disgusted by him. So we find out that Johan has been involved with another woman for the past 2 years. This woman contacted Danielle within the past month or so. She's contacted Danielle because Johan has been telling her, the other woman, that he wants to get a divorce from his wife and he wants this other woman to help him get a lawyer. So this one was confirming with Danielle, I guess before she gives him the money for the divorce or for the attorney, this one wanted to verify that there really was a divorce. So, or there really is going to be a divorce. And so, Danielle takes this opportunity to get as much information as she can from this other woman. And so, yeah, he was in a full blown, I guess, I don't know what you want to call it. I can't even call it because how can you be, anyways, he was in a full blown entanglement with this other woman. It was a sexual relationship. She says that she can prove it with photos and audio. Keep the audio. And so Danielle was like, well, send me screenshots of y'all's conversations and everything else. So the woman sent Danielle all the screenshots of their conversations. She sent Danielle screenshots of the sexually explicit pictures that Johan was sending to her. So she had everything. She had all the receipts to back up what she was saying, that she was involved with Johan. So then, Danielle was kind of like getting upset at this woman, because she says, well, this woman knew that he was married. Okay, Johan knew that he was married too, but that's neither here nor there. So then we also find out that Johan was bringing this other woman to their apartment, because a woman told Danielle that when you were away at some retreat, I guess Johan brought her over to the apartment that he shares with Danielle. So Danielle is thoroughly disgusted about all of this. And this just goes to show, because during their relationship, now, what I really want to know, I want to know timelines. Did this happen? And I'm not excusing anybody's behavior or justifying anybody's behavior, because my rule is, if you are legally married to somebody, you cannot start anything with anybody else until you are officially divorced. Point blank, period. So my thing is, did he start seeing this other woman when Danielle was trying to see her ex? Because, her ex had wanted to come to the Dominican, and she wanted to spend time with him. And she was telling Johan that, I'm going to go see him whether you like it or not. So was this around that time, or was Johan cheating on her way before then? That's what I really want to know. So, but it doesn't excuse, it doesn't justify it. I just want more. I need y'all to flesh out what really went down. I need more information. So then she says that Johan had left his computer behind, and that's kind of odd that he would leave his computer behind, because you would think that would be one of the first things he would take with him, but whatever. So he left his computer behind, and probably because she wouldn't let him take it. And she looked through the computer, and she said that she found evidence of him communicating with other women. And these women were giving him money. Probably all of these women from America and Europe who were, at the resort that he was working at. I don't know, wherever he was meeting, maybe on dating apps. I don't know. But they were all giving him money. And Danielle was like, he's telling me that he's broke. He can't pay for anything regarding our life together. But he had money from these other women. And so she's just really disgusted. Y'all, I don't really have sympathy for Danielle, because I just cannot fathom how you can go on vacation and you have a little fling with somebody, which there's nothing wrong with that. You can have as many flings as you want when you're on vacation. It goes down when you're on vacation, and that's fine. You're single, you're not attached to anybody. Do what you want, how you want to do it. More power to you. But you're going to go on vacation, have a fling, and then this man that you barely know this man, decide to go ahead and marry him and commit your life to this person, and then proceed to complain about everything about him from beginning to end. Because ever since these people got married, she has been unhappy with Johan. She has constantly been complaining about, he doesn't work enough, he doesn't make enough money, he doesn't do enough, I'm taking care of him, I'm the husband in the relationship, I'm the man in the relationship, and he's my... So from day one, she's been unhappy. You would think, instead of watching her cry in her confessionals, I would have thought she would have been like, you know what? That woman and every other woman out there did me a favor. They took off a huge burden off of me, so I don't have to take care of this grown man anymore. But she's boo-hooing in her confessional. Of course, she's the victim. But I'm just like, Danielle, you just should have known better. I just can't sympathize with her. You should have known better. You barely knew this man. Everybody told you, don't do it. Don't do it, girl. Please don't get married to him. You went ahead, you did it. You thought you knew it all. You went ahead, you got married to him. And now here we are. I don't know what else to say. I can't feel sorry for Danielle. I can't, and I won't feel sorry for Danielle. It is what it is, honey. Just next time, take a little bit more time to get to know somebody before you decide to marry them. And please don't marry your vacation fling. Leave them on that island. Leave them on that beautiful island. You can come back every year, do your thing with them, and then come back home and leave it on that island. Moving on to Sarper and Shekina. So they're back at Sarper's apartment. Shekina begins to pack up her stuff, and he's begging her not to leave. After he calls her bluff and realized that she was dead serious about leaving, he's begging her not to leave. So she's throwing stuff in her suitcase. He's, steadily pulling them back out again. That was aggressive to me. That was like a very aggressive move to me. So he tells her, if you pack your stuff, I'll delete you. From what? Life? The earth? I get it. He'll delete her from his phone. And so she goes, well, then I'm definitely leaving. And she stood by her word. The next time that we saw Shekina, she was staying in a hotel. And basically Sarper was stalking her, calling her constantly, showing up at the hotel, acting silly in the parking lot, making the little heart thing from the parking lot up at her window, just stalking her. And so she agrees even though he was doing all that crazy stuff, she agrees to meet up with him. So she meets up with them. He brings her flowers. He wants them to get back together again. And he promises her that he doesn't want to have children anymore. He just wants to be with her. She wants to make sure that he has given up his dreams of having a child because he doesn't want a child anymore. Not because he's just trying to get back with her, because she feels like it will eventually creep up again. So he's like, I promise you, I will never, ever, 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 ever bring up this whole thing about having a kid. I just want to be with you. So she says she forgave him. As far as whether or not she gave him another chance, like for real, I don't know. But this is also another toxic relationship. These are people that don't need to be together simply because of the fact that Sarper, to me, is just, I don't know if he knows how to treat women. He's so aggressive and he's very controlling and he's extremely manipulative. So I would not recommend that they get back together again. But, Shekina's a grown woman. She knows what she's doing. She makes her own decisions, but I would not recommend for her to be with someone like that, because he just seems like he's so controlling. He's the kind of she better be on birth control. That's all I got to say. She better be on birth control, because he's like someone that I can definitely see him poking holes in things. So she better be on some really good industrial strength birth control. Moving on to Brandon and Mary. So we're in the middle of the bug swarm. When they finally kill the lights that was attracting all the bugs, it got a little bit better. The bugs kind of went away. So Brandon's mom has a full-on panic attack because, she's got a bug phobia, like a very serious bug phobia. And I can just imagine like my worst phobia and thinking about, being caught in the middle of that. And so she's in the van and she's having a panic attack. She can't breathe. Her son, Brandon, tries to calm her down, and she thinks that they're still crawling in her hair, and they're trying to reassure her, Mom, they're not in your hair, but she feels like they still are. I totally sympathized with the mother in that situation. So Mary has bugs inside, like crawling on her. They're all up underneath her wedding gown, and her wedding gown was like multi-layered, and so for the bugs to still find their way to bite her underneath her gown, that was a serious swarm. So she's getting bitten. She's in pain. Brandon has to take her somewhere to go change her clothes. In the midst of all of this, he lost his ring because he's swatting the damn bugs away. He ends up losing his ring, but he did find it eventually. So they're back at the house. Brandon's mom tells them, after everything has really calmed down, okay, everybody's taking a shower, everything is calm now, we're back to normal. And so Brandon's mom, before she goes to bed, she tells them that she's really, really proud of them and that she has a lot of hope for them as a married couple and as parents. I really want to know, what is she seeing that I'm not seeing? Because I know that people like Brandon and Mary, they're going to stay together. They're going to stay together for a very, very, very long time. I don't think they're going to break up anytime soon. But this is still, to me, this is a toxic relationship. I don't know if they are really healed with their underlying issues as far as what makes them so damn codependent and angry. I don't know if they've dealt with those issues. The mom has talked to them, she talked a really good game with them. So I don't know if that's what did the trick for them, but I don't see what the mother is seeing. definitely Brandon is happy being in the Philippines because he's with Mary, but they have this crazy obsessive relationship with one another, and they both have really bad tempers, especially Mary. So the baby hasn't even been born yet, so that baby is going to be the true test of time. Them having a baby is going to be the true test. By the way, what happened to Grandpa? Where's Lolo? Somebody please tell me, where the hell is Lolo? Because we saw Lolo probably like a handful of times and then he disappeared. Is he working? I wouldn't be surprised if Lolo was working that much to pay for that wedding, to keep everybody afloat in that house, because her selling snacks and phones ain't cutting it. And so Lolo's probably, putting in 2-3 shifts in a row trying to keep food on the table. But everything is going to work out fine once they cut them this TLC check. Once they cut Brandon this TLC check, everything's going to be just fine. But I don't have as much hope as the mother does, because I still think that they are way too young, and I think that I don't think that they've really solved their issues. I don't think their underlying issues are solved, especially with Mary. So that's it. Next week is a tell-all. I'm really excited to see that. I can't wait. That is my review. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it on your way out. Please don't forget to rate the video. If you like this content, please subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.